There we go, everyone. It's 2:30 p.m. It's a Wednesday afternoon, and you're watching Innovation Fika with me, Donny, here live from Stockholm, Sweden, and KTH, the biggest tech university in Stockholm. And now we actually are live, so I don't need to have the banner on there anymore. We are live now. We're live at 14:30 CET, Swedish time. And as you know, every week, every Wednesday, I go live with my Innovation Fika, which is an innovation coffee break here from Sweden with guests. All the recordings are on, let's see, there, YouTube. 98 recordings after today. And all of the written content I tend to post. I write every day, but I don't post every day. But I kind of post a couple of 3 times a week. Goes on Medium. So check out my Medium page as well, Donny S. Siligonis. My Medium, all of my written content there. And all of the, as I said, all of the videos on YouTube. There. Enough about that. Enough about me. Wonderful. Thank you for that. Oh, wonderful. People online like the new intro. Thank you. It's actually an old intro. It's actually the original intro from over 2 years ago that I've just picked up again and I'm playing around with. So, but thank you for that. I appreciate you saying that. Everybody else online now, make sure to add who you are, where you're from, and make sure to get the questions going as we start speaking to our guest, because this show isn't about me as much as it is about our guests. So today I am very happy to introduce a great, good friend and one of the co-founders of the Founders Sunday group on LinkedIn as well, Mr. David Wolff, live from Florida, USA.
It's nice to be here today.
Wonderful. And it's good morning, David. It's morning.
It is. It's nice.
It is.
It is really a coffee break here.
Well, you know what? You're 6 hours behind me, right? So it's what is it? 8:30? No.
Yep, 8:30 here.
8:30. Well, you've been up since 4 a.m.
Some days, not today, but
awesome. Oh, look at this. We have Yash from India, one of our loyal viewers. So good to see you, Yash. Thank you for joining today. And of course, we have Eric from Nynäshamn. Cool. Also, and then Elena as well from Stockholm. Good to see you, Elena. But David, let's start the show off with the same question I ask all of my guests 98 times so far, with you included. Let's start by you just telling us, who are you and what do you do?
Well, my name is Dr. David Wolff. I am a retired CEO, although I'm really busy for being retired, I guess. I worked in the real estate, insurance, financial services world, built a whole bunch of companies, drove myself almost insane, and exited from them to try to enjoy retirement. But like I already said, I'm getting myself busy again here.
Yeah, well, you aren't maybe the my image of the retiree golf playing, golf cart driving person sitting in the sun, sipping a, of course, non-alcoholic beverage. On the contrary, I think I've seen you do a number of things. If nothing else, helped out a lot online with the Founder Sunday group. A lot of support coming in there from you for all the entrepreneurs. But also, I know that one of your passion projects, and I know I'm going a bit on a sidetrack here, but one of your passion projects is help me out now, is it the ocean habitat?
Yeah, it's the mini reef, which is something I worked on when I was in college many years ago.
But you're still working with that?
Yep. Yeah, it's a nonprofit company, actually taking it for profit now.
Yeah.
And we have an artificial system that grows life underneath like man-made docks and in canal systems where generally biology isn't very productive. So that's been a multi-decade kind of passion project of mine to finally get it going. So yeah, I can say if you don't give up, eventually you'll get there.
Well, and actually it's interesting to start with that, because we're going to talk about how to maybe not spend decades on doing something that will take 2 decades to get profitable. But we're actually going to talk about the, and I won't say unheard of, but I will say unspoken of a lot when it comes to entrepreneurship as such, because there tends to be this idea that, okay, kids, you need to start something, with no skill set, and this idea has to be disruptive that nobody's ever heard of, with a
Right.
technology that anybody's it's not built yet. So there's a triple uphill thing, and then but that's more like the inventing part thing. But we're talking about actual business and entrepreneurship. Uh, the whole idea of actually buying something that's already there is a vastly underestimated business opportunity.
Yeah, well, it's something that can take you from that linear path that everybody's on to something more logarithmic where you grow in chunks
Yeah,
and get revenue going for a business to maybe self-finance that invention you're working on instead of having to borrow and sell equity.
yeah,
Obviously, it's something that all huge companies do all the time, sometimes hundreds of times a year. They buy other companies to fast track ideas they have. But I think a lot of people think when you're just starting out, you're small, you don't have any money, you don't know how to do this. So you tend to kind of say that that's out of reach for me when really it's not.
yeah. But I know for a fact, though. I mean, in Sweden, we have a kind of a big problem with a lot of companies struggling to go through what we call the generation shift in Sweden. You have family-owned companies that have been in business, run by a founder or a couple of founders for 30, 40 years, and then they're going into retirement, and there's no sort of natural succession.
Right.
And they need somebody to actually step in and take over their companies. So there's this actually a national initiative, I don't know, it's called the Generation Shift or something, trying to get younger people into working with established, fully set up businesses with customers and revenues and everything. It's just that they
Right.
don't have anybody to run it. So it's definitely an underestimated way forward to make money and run a business. And as you say, also build yourself a platform if you want to do some innovative, or why not a triple decade passion project on the side. It's a really good way of, but how do you get into it? I mean, you're saying that wouldn't it cost a lot of money to get started if you're going to buy a company or something?
I mean, not really. Like you already said, only about 8 or 9% of companies ever sell. There's no succession plan or exit plan most people have. They're just working hard trying to make things happen in their company. So, like in the United States, there's $10 trillion worth of businesses that need to flip over like that in the next 7 years. Most of them will not. They'll just be liquidated. And, it's a shame because it's a golden opportunity. This is kind of a once in 100-year thing with this generation difference.
Yeah.
Where you could capitalize and grow something very large, very fast.
Yeah.
And that's what I realized earlier on, kind of in the earlier phase of baby boomers retiring and getting rid of, some of the more well-to-do people getting rid of their businesses. And then also having a major downturn, in the global economy with the mortgage meltdown that happened, 15 years ago. We could see that we could buy companies relatively inexpensively, sometimes with their own cash in the bank, literally called asset purchase. It doesn't take millions of dollars. I mean, obviously money has to change hands. Money has to come from somewhere, but more often than not, the business itself can pay for itself as you purchase it. You don't have to have the cash in the bank. That's kind of a misconception people have. You don't have to have credit to do it. There are about 180 ways to finance a business, and you can stack them together, called a finance stack, to sometimes get them without any of your own money. Not always, but sometimes.
Did you say 180?
Yeah, I think it's about 180 if I remember right. It obviously depends on the business. Not everybody has inventory refinance and all that kind of stuff, but
but just as
a lot of options out there besides write a check.
Exactly. Yeah, but that's the thing, and that's a joke for all of the entrepreneurs out there. There's 180 ways to finance a business. So if we take away the VC part, you've left with another 179. So there's always ways forward. I actually had a discussion just Monday with two of the entrepreneurs that I'm coaching here, because they were trying to figure out, can we apply for some grants, or how can we move forward? And I'm going, yeah, but why don't you phone your customers, your potential customers, and get something sold? Yeah, but our product isn't ready yet. We can't sell it. It's not finished. Why don't you get them on a pilot project, get them to commit to something. If nothing else, that will enable you to find money somewhere else if you have customers committing to buying something once there is.
Right.
And they go, but can we do that? I said, yeah. And they actually picked up the phone and they phoned 2 customers on Monday afternoon, and both said yes.
Yeah.
So
when I restarted my mini reef project, I had a room of about 20 people. I told them all about it. Now I'm restarting this, and it's $1,000 a unit, which, doesn't cost that much to build one. And in fact, I was recovering units we had abandoned 20 years earlier in the swamp somewhere. And they all thought it was an amazing idea. And I sold every single unit I had, which was like 14 units, I think. So it was $14,000 to go and start building the business instead of borrowing money or trying to figure something out.
Yeah. And just everyone, I know we have a bunch of people watching now. Just post questions in the feed. Keep it going. Get some questions in for me and David here. We're talking about the possibility of actually acquiring a business, a current working business, instead of trying to start your own. I mean, because facts, 9 out of 10 startups fail for customer validation, market validation, product market fit. I mean, all of these reasons.
Lack of money.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the whole sort of valley of death thing. You need money until you can make money, and there's all of these things that go into the extreme high fail rate of the startup kind of thing. Whereas, and just you did the US numbers, and I said, there's a similar situation in Sweden. We have so many companies started the last 40 years or so, run by family or single or 2 co-founders that are in dire need of somebody coming in and taking over. And they are in all businesses. I mean, everything from small workshops and industry and restaurants, and you name it, they're out there. Tech as well, definitely.
Yeah, instead of saying I need $200,000 to code my app, why don't you go buy a dev company that's not doing that great and therefore isn't worth a whole lot, and you have a team who works on it for free while you actually have income, like the little bit of income it has coming in.
Yeah.
There's different ways of just doing it the way everybody else is doing it.
Yeah, and I mean, considering the time and effort a founder or 2 co-founders spend on their startup, the time and the energy that they pour in. I mean, it's 7 days a week,
right,
day and evening and nights. I mean, if you took 75% of that energy and time and applied it to what you said, a company that could be turned around with some love, TLC, that's definitely something worth doing. So we have you talk about the let's see, what is it? All of the no factors.
Right. Yeah. When you start a business, everything's a no. You have no clients, no money, no product, no history, no website. You have there's a no in front of everything that you have. Where when you buy an existing business, especially a profitable one, those are all haves now. Like you have all those things. Like you literally have past clients of that company that you can sell your idea to, your new idea. You don't have to find a company that's some perfect copy of what you're trying to build. You're just looking for something that fits the bill. And it's not easy. It takes 6, 7, 8 months to find and acquire something. It's not an overnight thing, but it takes years to build a business too. So, really it's faster if you look at it that way.
Yeah. I remember way back when I started my first, my first business, but my dad already had a business. Back then, there was pre-startup entrepreneurship era in the 90s. Then the going, it was like, well, it takes 7 years to build a business. I mean, that was what people said. Everybody knew it takes 7 years to build a business, and you work on something else. You start something on the side, and then over like 5, 7, 8 years, you might be able to have a salary and make it work. And then when we entered the startup era, it was like, run fast, break things, ask for lots of money, and try and survive. And we sort of
fail fast all the time.
And then we changed the whole sort of mindset of this, what an actual solid, good business is all about. It's actually about serving customers, making money, getting an honest day's pay for that, and then growing your business over time. So I think this is an interesting. I like this prospect as well because it's an interesting way back into what business is all about. And even if you are an entrepreneur wanting to change the world and you want to come up with new things, it's always easier to do that within a business that has an ongoing, as you said, revenue flow with customers, and if there's something going on, then you can add an innovation project to that, to the skills, and people can do skunk works and whatever. So many things you can do. So lots of things going on here. Oh, thank you, Emily. I had to put that on. Always nice with some compliments there. Yash, story of my life. Building an MVP for my startup. Okay, cool. As I said, keep questions coming in. And then another thing, and this is something I would like you to explain here, the whole arbitrage thing when it comes to buying something and then I mean, an arbitrage deal is buying and selling something cheap and selling it more expensive at a different place. But how does that come into this here?
Well, when you're buying a company and you're valuing it, depending on the niche, et cetera, there's always a multiple that you apply to kind of the net profit that's left over. And if you play your cards right, businesses that are small, yes, these companies are kind of under $1 million, and then you grow them, that multiple grows with the income, like the net profit of that company. So if you buy a business for $750,000 and it has a 1.5 multiple, and you grow it to 4 million, it now has a 5 multiple. And so it's not just like the difference in that profit that you're getting, but you're actually getting that money multiplied many more times. So you go from this business where you're only paying 1.2 million for it, but then it's worth 14 million because you grew it, 300%.
Yeah.
And so that's something with M&A that you often do is there's like different zones to work in. And if you buy small companies and grow them, you can then flip them off to bigger like VC firms and stuff. They're looking for something with scale. They don't want to grow it to that. They just want to buy it there. Mm-hmm. And so unlike the small businesses who have, the issue of who do I sell this to, when you get a business to a certain size, like there are larger entities that want that. They want to add it to their portfolio. So arbitrage is buying low, selling high, and you can play that big time with the multiple number on companies.
Mm-hmm. And another thing, I remember in the post that I wrote about this show, I just did a simple search, online where, companies for sale, buy companies and so on. I mean, there are actually a lot of online resources out there, a number of sites where you can buy everything from, okay, so there's, like Indie Maker, where people sell, their websites. It's like small things that never turned out. It's like the failed startup kind of thing. They're on Indie Maker. But things for like $1,000, you can buy something which is built and you don't have to go through the whole thing yourself, up to the point where you have, I don't remember the name of it. I can post some links as well, but where they actually buy and sell much bigger, fully functional running companies that are sold for more money. There's tons of things. In Sweden, there's one called bolagsplatsen.se, where you can go online and you can find perfectly solid businesses being sold. A lot of the generation shift going on there as well. So there's tons of online resources to go look for already existing businesses that I would encourage people to do as well. Definitely.
Yeah, and all those sites are a great place to kind of get a lot of information and understand the type of business that you're trying to buy. What are the numbers out there? What are they talking about? I will have to say the best deals are not listed. You have to go and approach them. And they're like, yes, I have been thinking about selling, but I didn't know how. You're going to get a much better price. Business brokers often get in the way of transactions. They have very limited thinking with how to put transactions together. They're just kind of like have cash or get a loan, and that's all we care about. And so they limit you, but those sites are an awesome place to get info and to talk to people and to find out, what's going on in the industry in the area that you're trying to acquire in. It helps you a lot then when you talk to someone where it is a good deal.
But I think that's another underestimated or underused thing. If you see something you want to buy, just because it isn't listed doesn't mean it's not for
Yeah.
sale. My parents, they bought 2 houses by saying, "Oh, we'd love to live there," and then they actually just walked up and knocked on the door and say, "Hi, we love your house. You wouldn't by any chance be planning on selling
Yeah.
or moving or anything like that?" And a couple of times people actually said, "You know what? This is actually quite good timing because I was just speaking to my husband and blah 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 blah," and then 6 months later they bought a house. So.
Yeah. But it works in businesses the same way. Not everyone's going to say yes. You're going to get no's, but like anything in sales, you have to get through so many no's to get a yes. That's all you have to do.
But that's it's the same way with everything. And the thing is yes, Yash, I will here a comment here from Yash. I'll post the links in the chat for the for this actual show afterwards. The ones I had, at least. Just as David said, it's a great place to just start understanding what's going on out there. What are what is anything? What kind of specific businesses are out there? I mean, I'm looking to buy bakery.
Right.
Because I have
but
because I have a big product that I want to produce, and so far I haven't found any co-packers that can produce it for me. So that's all. Well, heck, instead of building a bakery,
right,
I'll buy a bakery that is up and running and functioning, that has revenue. I won't lose any money on it, and then I can sort of slot my sort of innovation into the production line, and then that's it.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of what people can do in just about any industry.
Yeah,
just bring your idea to this already successful business.
Indeed.
Chop off all the hard work and no paychecks and pain that you go through to build something from scratch.
Yeah, but the thing is though, once you have your economic platform, and once you have your sort of, you've sharpened your teeth, and the business thing, and because as I said in the beginning, this first-time entrepreneur, they always have this triple uphill. They don't have the skills or the experience. They start to come up with an idea that nobody's heard of before on a technology that isn't built yet. They have everything against them. But if you sharpen your teeth on running a business, making it work, getting the money in, on that, then you can innovate so much easier and the next time around.
Yeah. I mean, just funding. I know I've read multiple times people spend about 70% of their time trying to find money for their idea, their business. Imagine if you didn't have to spend 70% of your time on that, but on actually doing your idea. Because
we see that all the time. We see underfunded or first-time founders or early founders who get in, the angel investment in the beginning, which is always too little money. And then every 6 months is another PowerPoint tour of investors. And every 6-12 months, it's another. And you never see the CEO or the person who's supposed to be CEO, because they're always out speaking to investors. They're not running the actual company. They're not leading a company. They're out speaking to investors. And the company, this poor startup, is left to itself. So yeah, I'm 100% with you on that one. Definitely. Again, the fastest half an hour in the world. This Innovation Fika, we're already almost there. So we have to finish off with the summary with David's top 3 tips. We're talking about acquiring companies instead of starting companies as a good way of getting your business going. And the top 3 tips, we've talked about kind of them today, but David's top 3 tips, or top 3 sort of things here, is number 1 is acquisitions solve the no problem, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you suddenly have everything you need instead of trying to create everything you need.
Yeah, so you go from no customers, no revenue, no product market fit to have customers, have revenue, have product market fit, and so forth. Yeah,
you can focus on what's important then, which is like the thing that you want to be doing. So
and then number 2, acquisitions flip the risk profile.
Yeah, if you buy a profitable company, you have a 4% chance of failure. If you're a startup, you only have about a 4 or 5% chance of success. So, both take a lot of work.
Yeah.
But would you like to be going uphill or downhill with the work you're doing? Is how you should look at it. You basically have to screw up a good business. For lack of a better term.
But I like the thing, because the 4%, that's actually the outliers on that scale there, because the the 4% of risk of failure as opposed to the 4% chance of success.
Yeah,
it's
I'll take
huge.
the 4% failure, because I know I can run a business good enough not to be in that 4%. I
Yeah.
don't know if I can run a business good enough to scale for 10 years and do everything right and be in the 4% that succeeds and makes money.
Yeah. And number 3, acquisitions enable the arbitrage trade, and that's what you were talking about. You buy something and then with a 1.5 markup, and then you grow that, which
Right.
will then make it a multiplying effect on that, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it makes a huge difference on the valuation of the company. Just by if you're growing at 20% year over year, 15%, 4 or 5 years down the road, it's worth a lot more than just 70% more. It's astronomical how big it can get if you grow the company large enough.
Good question here from Emily here. This is good. So, David, what is the argument then for building something from scratch?
I don't know, honestly, because
good one, Emily.
I beat my head against the wall for years building companies from scratch, and stress and no paychecks, and then when I started buying companies, we suddenly had income and we grew, just logarithmically. Everything I grew just took a handful of years by buying companies that already were established. So I'd have to say there is an argument, honestly. I mean, obviously part of it you're building because it's your new idea, but you can get the money and everything from other pieces that you put together through M&A, and make bringing your idea to life a lot easier.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can probably come up with a number of arguments for building something from scratch, but that's for another show.
Yeah.
That's for another show. But I do agree with you when it comes to the risk profile and the whole. I mean, there is a reason also. If we talk about this question very, very briefly, there's a reason, of course, that the incumbents, the old companies, buy the small new ones. I mean, the speed of innovation.
Right.
The startups, they have one thing in mind to do. The incumbents have 1,000 things in mind to do, so they cannot, innovate at the same kind of speed. There's lots of things coming. But let's see here. Another one. There's questions here. It's good. Can I, from a scratch venture, find strategic partnerships instead of losing their name and structure? How does that? You mean collaborating with big ones, or what does that mean? Maybe I'm not sure what you mean there, Aaron. If you mean collaborating with a established business, or if it's, I mean, we work with strategic partnerships here at the university all the time with our small startups here. The best way to find a market for your startup is to collaborate with somebody who has a market and is on a market. And if you can sell through them, via them, with them to their customers, you don't have to get the customers yourself. So strategic partnerships is definitely a very, very solid way forward from scratch startups. So tell you what, let me do another show on strategic partnerships only.
Yeah, that would be a good show.
Yeah, that's another show. Yes, Aaron will just collaborate. Yes. Tell you what, Aaron, I will do a specific show on strategic partnerships, how to work that with your startup. But today we're talking about acquiring businesses instead of starting businesses. And it is actually 14:59. We are just about to say, David, thank you for spending 30 minutes of your morning coffee with us. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And reach out to David on LinkedIn. He's accessible. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm accessible. Keep the questions going. And if nothing else, we will see you in the Founders Sunday group on Sunday on LinkedIn, where we both are. And with that, I will wish everyone a wonderful Wednesday afternoon. It is 3:00 on the nose. And I will say thank you and goodbye. See you next week.